Hello and welcome to Hangout, where the actions resumed at the BCCI, or the Board of Control for Cricket in India. Well, in a manner of speaking, of course, the Supreme Court has now refused to reinstate N Srinivasan as the president of the BCCI. Now, that leaves a very interesting question ahead about who, of course, will continue to run BCCI, and more importantly, is Srinivasan justified in even asking to come back as the president? And that's what we're trying to address today, along with Ayaz. Ayaz, what do you think?
I think it's in fact, it's not a plain vanilla situation, Govind. I must mention, it's a little vexing issue from a legal standpoint also. The argument of Kapil Sibal.
Let's not forget who's representing Srinivasan.
So there's Sundaram and Kapil Sibal representing the BCCI and N Srinivasan. And their argument is that the interim report submitted by Justice Mukul Mudgal and his panel
does not hold anything
against it. If it doesn't have anything against N Srinivasan, then why shouldn't he be allowed to be reinstated as, come back as president of the BCCI, and more so because the AGM of the BCCI is coming up in September, and all the arguments that they put forward, that he has to sign the documents, the accounts, and whatever else, and then of course the next BCCI chief has to be chosen. So now this is the vexing part. I think from a straightforward position, till the inquiry is complete, he has been asked to step aside till the inquiry is complete.
Right. And let's rewind very quickly for those who tuned in late, so to speak. There were allegations of match fixing and spot fixing and betting against Srinivasan's son-in-law, Gurunath Mayappan, because of which Srinivasan was asked to step aside till there was an impartial inquiry completed against him by a committee and headed by a former judge
appointed by the Supreme Court.
And a bench comprising T.S. Thakur and F.M. Kaifullah has now said that they will not bring him back into they do not want him to come back into the BCCI till the matter is completely settled.
So the straightforward position is the matter is still under investigation, and because he's been asked to step aside till investigations are complete, they've asked for 2 more months. They've been given till November 10th. The Mukul Mudgal panel to complete the investigation. So the Supreme Court has said till November 10th you can't come back.
So
however, the problem is that the AGM is on September 30th. Or the last week of September.
And there are a couple of more very interesting questions about what's happening at IPL, at the BCCI vis-a-vis IPL and other matches that are coming up. But we'll come to that in a moment. Abhishek joins us. Abhishek, what's your sense? How should we be looking at this whole, the fact that Srinivasan is for now unable to come back to the BCCI?
See, as far as Mr. Srinivasan is concerned, everything is quite crystal clear. If you see the Supreme Court judgment, and till why the Mudgal committee was formed, and why was Mr. Srinivasan at the first place asked to step aside as the president of BCCI? The reason was very simple. There were certain things which has to be probed, and till the final report comes, he has no right to be reinstated as president again. Now, one major crisis is coming in, which the BCCI mandarins are saying, is since we have our AGM stated for now. So what we can do is that we can't have that AGM until and unless Srinivasan comes back again, because as far as Silvalal Yadav is concerned, he is there just in interim capacity, and he can't call that AGM. And now, if you see the BCCI history, once during the reign of Jagmohan Dalmia, the AGM was postponed by one full month, and working committee took that decision. So I think the BCCI should wait for the final report, which they are going to actually do. And as per the information which is coming in, the BCCI mandarins, they have decided they will go once the final report is out. And looking at the report, then only they will call for AGM. And the committee which has been working on till now, that committee will be deciding on the affairs of BCCI till then.
Okay, great. So let's come back to the BCCI and its functioning, because that's what we are primarily concerned with. Sunil Gavaskar, cricketer, has been given charge of the IPL.
No longer.
No longer. So that's also ended now.
That's ended.
And the rest of the affairs are being looked after by Shivlal Yadav. So what does that mean for BCCI in terms of leadership and continuity as things stand today?
So that's one of the issues that the BCCI has raised, in a sense, without articulating it like that they had interim precedents in place because the Supreme Court had asked N Srinivasan to step aside. Their argument, and this is in fact the argument of Sundaram and Kapil Sibal, is that in the interim report itself, if there is nothing involving Srinivasan, it may involve his son-in-law or whoever else. If it's not involving him, then why aren't you allowing him to come back as BCCI president? That's their position. The Supreme Court's position, and I think this is what perception largely is across the cricket world, that till the investigation is complete, if he's been asked to step aside, how can he be made to come back till the investigation is still going on? The only trigger for for this debate is of course the AGM. But I think that the AGM can it be postponed for 2 months? Yes, they have to pass the resolution.
Right. Okay. So let's come back to 2 points. So one is the running of the BCCI itself as things are going on or are ongoing. The other is to look at it in the context of the cricket that's being played or going to be played. Right. So we've just talked about test series in England which did not go well, though that was made up for in some ways by an ODI series that's gone well. There's some decisions need to be taken, right? Once all this is over, when the lads return from England, as it were.
It's a big year actually for Indian cricket because they've got a home series against West Indies, then the tour to Australia, then the World Cup. So in purely in cricketing terms, it's a big year. Also, I think from an administration point of view, it's a big year according to me. The last deal that they've struck with a sponsor for the West Indies series has actually not fetched them the kind of money that the BCCI normally expects.
Right.
Now there are arguments for, and the BCCI says the market is not good enough and it needs to be kind of the money is not enough. There's not enough money in the system. But some people are arguing that other leagues have sprung up, other sports are getting prominence. So cricket is not the only sport that Indians will look for. So all kinds of there are many dynamics at play.
That all this has been sort of brewing and going on.
I think
almost a year.
Almost a year. Yeah. So you've had the Pro Kabaddi League, then you've got the ISL, which is the soccer league, which is coming up. You already have the India Hockey League,
and all of this running simultaneously with
cricket. BCCI's I mean, there's no comparison between cricket and any of these leagues. But even so, there is more. For every viewer's bandwidth or every sports consumer's bandwidth to have so much is obviously there's some elbowing.
So when will the real impact start being I mean, when will you really start seeing the impact of all of this problems at the BCCI, the lack of clear leadership, the fact that someone like Srinivasan is not coming back?
I think it's going to start brewing, the politicking now, because the AGM is due at the end of the month. If it is postponed, remember, the next president has to come from the East zone, according to the protocol.
Okay.
And it was thought, or it is believed, that the East zone would actually nominate N Srinivasan to come back as president of the BCCI.
Right.
In which case he would hold two positions, as BCCI president as well as the ICC chairman. Now, with this kind of a thing becoming a rigmarole, see, when state associations get a little wary whether the person they would want to support or they are supporting may not be allowed to contest at all or be there, then the equations change very rapidly.
Right.
So we'll have to wait and see. And I think that the joker in the pack could be the Gujarat Cricket Association now, which is now headed by Amit Shah.
Okay. Okay. So Abhishek, how do you see the coming series, all the cricket that's going to be played, including the World Cup ahead? And as I said, it's a big year. In the context of the fact that the BCCI is obviously either no leadership or uncertain leadership.
See, two things are crystal clear. When I had a word with one major BCCI official yesterday, he was saying if we have working committee that they can very well take any decision. Supposedly, Indian team performed very badly in the test series. Then it was the working committee which decided to appoint Ravi Shastri as the director of sports, director of cricket, and there was a turnaround which he was saying. So you can say that they feel this ad hocism can continue, and we should wait till the final report is there. On the second hand, some of the officials are also saying it's part of BCCI inner politics. What they are trying to do is that there are many adversaries of Srinivasan within the BCCI, and they are waiting for one opportunity. And if the report indicts him in any further manner, then someone like Rajiv Supla is a contender for BCCI president, and he can be backed by many other people. But Ayaz is very right in saying one particular thing. Since last 1.5 years, we are seeing post IPL, other leagues trends are catching in, and we have seen Pro Kabaddi League and many other leagues coming in, which right now it can be said there is chalk and cheese difference between cricket and other leagues, and cricket is way ahead. But you can't take a guarantee if you have ad hoc board like this that this trend is going to continue over the years. So it's high time, be the sponsorship right, be the different rights, that cricket needs to think as to how it can maintain its leadership position over the years. And this can't happen with this ad hoc committee, because beyond a point, you need a leader at the top who should have a vision, who should have a roadmap for the coming 3 or 4 years. And this is not happening with the BCCI as of now.
Right. Okay. And we'll address that the sort of final question in a moment. So Ayaz, if Ravi Shastri could have been appointed director of cricket and pretty quickly, just after the Test series, and decisions seem to be taken, is the BCCI then sufficiently empowered internally to take at least one layer of critical decisions?
They can. I mean, for instance, there's a whole selection panel. If immediately after this tour, if they decide, suppose, I'm saying hypothetically, that they don't want Fletcher as the coach, they can take a decision, the working committee, and communicate that to the selectors or to Fletcher directly. Likewise with Dhoni's captaincy, in case if they don't, for the test. If they don't want him, or they want to rest him, they want to try out Virat Kohli, they can take that decision. You don't have to wait for Srinivasan or some other BCCI person to become a president to take that decision. This is
but so therefore but there is a layer above that, the bigger decisions about cricket, BCCI, the future, which really require leadership.
I mean, it's like a company without a CEO. So you might have a working committee, you might have a board of directors, but you have somebody to steer the organization ahead, which is what the job of the BCCI president is.
So let's say, so obviously we're not going to get into the Supreme Court decision, but assuming, let's say, the Supreme Court gives him a clean sheet, right? Is he then the best man for the job?
Well, then he is the I mean, ipso facto, then he has to come back. If they find him he has to get back his position.
Reinstated,
and then therefore he has to contest the elections again if he wants to continue as BCCI president. Indications are that he would be nominated by the East Zone. So it seems that within the cricketing fraternity, the administrators, Srinivasan is still a front runner. But as I mentioned earlier, equations change dramatically when you find that somebody is not going to be in a position of power. Then, as you know very well, that everybody starts fleeing. They run in the other direction or in all kinds of directions. So I think that what Srinivasan is looking for.
But is he justified? I think that's the other question we're trying to ask today. Is he justified in asking for reinstatement?
But you see,
he has no choice, actually. Yes.
No, but the point is, if he is legally found by the Supreme Court to be not guilty, then you and I can talk till kingdom come.
Right.
I mean, he's been found
he has
not guilty.
He has every right to come back into that position. Though it's been argued that he ought to have stepped aside.
No, that's a moral position.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm saying that the legal position is that,
very clear.
And he has been pursuing the legal position.
Yeah.
So he has been saying, even if my son-in-law has been, he's at the center of whatever the investigation, I'm not to be blamed for it.
Yeah.
While you would say a moral position is, okay, the fire's in my backyard, I must go first.
Right. Okay. So Abhishek, let's come back to the question. Given the kind of cricket that we have ahead, given where BCCI stands today in terms of its leadership lineup and so on, what needs to be done? And obviously the Supreme Court is unlikely to finish with this, though they've expressed displeasure at the delay. It's unlikely that we'll have a clear result in what, weeks or months?
I think they're going to contest this. BCCI deciding to appeal again, but I don't know what will come of it.
Okay. So Abhishek, what's your sense? What can be done in order to ensure that things are under control or get back under even keel?
See, right now there are two sides of the story. If you will take the legal story, legal thing will take its own course, and depending on the verdict, BCCI will have to decide accordingly. And ultimately, if he gets a clean sheet, he is all set to be the president if you see the inner power politics in BCCI is concerned. But the second question is that our question, we are also as a journalist, as a viewer, stakeholder in seeing the upliftment of the Indian cricket, and it needs a decisive leadership at this point of time. Now the biggest question is how to ensure this decisive leadership. For this, as Mr. Sasank Manohar has said, BCCI could immediately call their working committee meeting and at least decide about a road ahead as to where it wants to go, because certain things are going to be decided then and there, because it's a big cricketing season. Last year, Mr. Sunil Gavaskar became interim chief of the, you can say, looked after the IPL. But there are now IPL season 8 coming in. The World Cup is coming in. Many itineraries needs to be decided. And the largest issue is that how to increase the coffer of the board. If you see the board, the richest board of the world has got stuck somewhere down the line since last 2.5 years. So until and unless a roadmap is drawn for that, I can see Indian cricket struggling in this aspect also in coming 1.5 years. So these things need to be decided, and this decision needs to be taken by the present board setup. That is Shivlal Yadav and different board association. Till the final precedent is decided, this is how we want to go about it. Because until and unless the board gives clean chit to Mr. Srinivasan, he can't be reinstated as president. That is the reality.
Okay, thank you, Abhishek. Ayaz, last word.
Well, the board can't give a clean chit to Srinivasan until the Supreme Court gives him a clean chit. So everything depends on how the Supreme Court sees. They'll ask for a review of the decision not to.
And what are we losing out while we wait for this? I mean, while we may have no control over it, but what are we losing out?
I think is the reputation which is getting sullied further and further. I mean, there is while there is a lot of wealth around Indian cricket, there's also muck. So if you ask me what are the challenges ahead, sure, certainly we have to remove this muck. And around the IPL, which is your showcase event, then you have to look at beefing up our test performances and our test team, because they've been rather miserable. So it's a very lopsided growth in Indian cricket.
So there are some cricketing issues, there are organization issues, there are long-term revenue issues.
You imagine a situation where your BCCI president is under scrutiny from all kinds of investigation agencies, and he's also chairman of the ICC. So there is a bit of a, it's a mighty conundrum there. Now that needs to be reconciled at some stage. And I'm saying let Supreme Court take a month more. The Mutkal panel, instead of 2 months, let them take 3 months. But let's resolve this issue once and for all, because it's just adding too much dirt to Indian cricket.
Right. On that note, we've run out of time. Ayaz, thank you very much. And that's all we have time for in this edition of India Hangout. We're going to be back very soon, which is in a day. Thanks for watching.